Hey guys, so probably the most important decision you're going to make in the beginning of your tiny house build is going to be the trailer that you set your tiny house on. It is your foundation. It's your wheels. It's gonna transport your house, and it's gonna support your house for the life of your house. So you got to make a good decision. You obviously want a well-made trailer, but you also want a trailer that has the right features to match the type of house that you're building. I got this 28-foot long it's trailer by Stryker Trailers down in Birmingham, Alabama, and let me tell you, I am super psyched about it. It was the perfect trailer to build my house on. I want to take you through all the features and explain why that is. So right out of the gate, the first thing that you're probably noticing is the framing pattern of the trailer. Also that there's no deck on this trailer. And that's because this trailer is specifically made to build a tiny house on. We have a 2x6, a true 2 inches by 6 inch exterior framing going on here, which is super strong. And we have these 2x4 cross members going across the center. And all these 2x4 cross members are 16 inches on center. So what's really cool about this trailer is that it's actually acting as a subfloor if you want it to. Which was really important for us because we were trying to get as much head clearance room as possible in the tiny house, and DMV restricts the maximum height to be 13.6. So any way that we could get our tiny house subflooring down, everything as far down as possible was crucial for us. So right here, we've been able to do that instead of on a lot of tiny house trailers or in a lot of tiny houses where they build the subfloor out of 2x4s on top of the decking or on top of the framing of the trailer. I'm actually going to be utilizing the trailer framing as the subfloor framing. These cavities in between the frame members are going to get insulated with rigid foam, closed cell insulation, and we have our piece of sheet metal flashing already welded onto the bottom of the trailer for us, and that's going to prevent from when you're going down the road, it's going to prevent water from coming up and hitting your insulation and the wood of your subfloor, and it's also going to keep the critters out, which is super important because you do not want your house infested with mice. You know this. So what's also really cool is that they do custom widths. So I actually have a 98-inch wide trailer here, which is exactly what I wanted. You're limited to 102 inches wide by the DMV. So at 98 inches wide, I can build out my exterior sheathing and paneling to exactly 102 inches. To get that exact width, they build out these little pieces of framing coming off the sides of the trailer here to reach your exact width. So here you can see the subfloor that I've already started on the trailer framing, and you can also see these threaded rods. This is 1/2-inch threaded rod, standard size, and the point of this is when you put your framing, when you put your wall from your sole plate down on the edge here, you have this guy right here to put a washer and a nut on and lock that framing down. And that's crucial because if you don't do that, you're depending on sheet metal or self-tapping screws to hold all of your framing for the house down onto the trailer. And you can still do that with this trailer, but in addition you get this really solid bomber connection with all these threaded rods. I got 3 axles. Each one of these axles supports 7,000 pounds. So that gives this thing a 21,000 pound capacity. That may be overkill for what I need. My trailer is 28 feet long, so I think this was like kind of the maximum that I've seen people build tiny house trailers on, or tiny houses on. The maximum support that I've seen for that size house. And because I really didn't know how to quantify how much weight I was going to be putting onto this trailer with the house, I wanted just to max it out to be very sure that I wasn't going to have any problems. So 21,000 pounds. Hopefully that is extremely overkill. Something else to note here is that I got the drop axles, which drops the whole height of the trailer decking down by a few more inches. I think it's 4 inches. And that is just another thing that is allowing us to get that floor as low as possible to have as much headroom inside the tiny house as possible. All right, so up at the tongue, we got some cool stuff up here. We got our standard breakaway situation when you got your, this line connects to your truck, and then if you were to lose the connection to your trailer and trailer was to fall back, this would break away and activate the brakes on the trailer itself to stop this thing from sliding down the road. That's a really standard feature. It's got your standard, whatever this is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pin connection to your, to activate brakes and lights and stuff on the trailer. It's got this super duty jack stand here, and this thing just works. You pull this out, and then you can crank it up, crank it down. I've never seen something this heavy duty before. It's enormous. It's also got this this little pull thing here. So at the bottom of the jack stand, when you get this thing up in the air on your truck, if you just pull this in, this is spring loaded, and the jack will just pop. The foot will just pop right back up, and then so it makes it fast so you don't have to. It saves you some of the cranking that you would otherwise have to do. And then when you're ready to go back down, you pull this out, and with your foot you can just push this plate back down to get it where you want, and then just lock it back into position. This is another pretty cool feature right here. I hadn't seen anything quite like this one before, but what happens here for the latching is that right now it's open, and you would just set this down to a 2 5/16 ball on your truck. But if you pull this this guy back right here, and then push that in, and then push it forward, that's what locks it. And then you can just pull this right out, and then hold this in a little bit maybe. You just pull that out, and that's what unlocks it. So it's an interesting, looks like a pretty solid locking mechanism on the ball. So I looked at some other trailers out there that just weren't the right design for my tiny house. Some of them, instead of having this whole like framing member situation on the side to block out to your custom width, some of them just have like a flange. So you got your main framing that would end here, and then there would just be this flange that stuck out here with nothing underneath. Now I didn't really like that very much because, again, I'm trying to keep my floor as low as possible. So if I were to install my subfloor right on top of that, just that piece of metal flange with nothing underneath, I would have a pretty substantial thermal bridge happening, where temperature from the outside would hit the bottom of that flange, transfer through the steel, and go right into my subfloor, into my finished floor, and then into the house. Whereas with this, I have all this cavity here, just like I have with the rest of the trailer, to put insulation in. Now I think their solution is probably to put a little bit of maybe like, you know, a 3/4, 1 inch sheet of insulation on top of that flange. But then, you know, first of all, it's only 1 inch of insulation, whereas I'm getting 3.5 inches here. But then also, it's everything you put on top is raising your floor up. So that wasn't going to work for me. I highly recommend Stryker trailers. They made the trailer that was perfect for my tiny house. I'm going to have their phone number and their web address right down here. Give them a call. You're going to want to talk to Chuck Graham. He's the man. He took good care of me. And please mention that you heard about them through Off Grid Build, because they're giving us a little kickback, and that's going to really help us make these videos and, you know, support us with what we're doing here. So check them out, Stryker Trailers, and thanks a lot.